Hey everyone, in this video I want to show you how to add an image to Tiki-Toki to get it to display correctly. I'm also going to demonstrate how to make sure that the text of your entry on Tiki-Toki displays in normal font rather than italics. So just a couple of things like that and a couple of comments about looking ahead to units 2 through 6, answering the question of where can you find images to go with your timeline entries. And then also, there was one more. Oh, and also thinking about historical significance. So in units 2 through 6, your statement on historical significance will be one of the most important parts of the timeline entry ID step. So I just wanted to say a couple of things about that. So here we go. What I'm going to do is go ahead and log in. And I didn't have this logged in ahead of time for the reason that I wanted to let you know that I know it's sort of a known issue that sometimes Tiki-Toki will log you out while you're working on it. I do apologize for that issue. The reason is we're all using the free version of this platform together in the same account. And so it doesn't like it when a few of us are trying to be logged into it at the same time. Again, I apologize for that. I think that the headache is still worth it because it's a powerful way of putting together visually the work that we're doing on New Mexico history. Um, Hopefully you won't disagree with me. But you may have to log back in. That's also one of the reasons that I have you do all of your work on a Word document or a Google document or whatever it is before you put it on Tiki-Toki, so that hopefully by the time you get here, you have everything done, everything's written, and it's just a question of actually posting it. Um, so you won't be losing any work in the process is what I'm trying to emphasize there. All right, so as always, this is only as good as my internet connection is fast. It's taking a second here. So as you scroll through the timeline, you'll notice such as Elizabeth Baca's entry here on Cabeza de Vaca. You'll see her name, but nothing else. You know, there's a thumbnail of, it looks like a video that she's chosen. You click more, and then you can see the entry that she's written. And you can play the video if you're so inclined to look into that. So the way that she's done this is what an entry should look like. The Find Out More button, that's where her link to her outside source is embedded. So again, this is what it should look like. If, however, as you're going along, I'm going to go to one of these further down. So this is one of the personal entries on the timeline. And I wanted to say thank you for all of the really cool stories about yourselves that you've added here. I felt like I've gotten to know you all a lot better by reading through your personal entries on the timeline. It's really helpful for building our class community, but it's also really cool, I think, to see kind of where we end up fitting into the progression of New Mexico history. So if you see these entries like Michaela's or Gwen's that has more information than just the 6-word introduction, because that's what we were doing with these Unit 1 personal entries, was the 6-word introduction rather than the just your name. When you click on it, what you'll see is the whole entry kind of jumbled together in italics, and it's kind of hard to read. So I want to show you how to fix that. So I'm going to go here to admin. If you've watched the other tutorials, you'll know this is the way to add an entry to the timeline. I'm going to open Michaela's here. And the reason that it's displaying this way is because she's posted the bulk of the entry and into the intro box here. So what I'm going to do, hopefully, is highlight this. There we go. It froze for just a second. Highlight this, copy it, and I'm going to move it over here. I'm actually going to cut it, and it will have me hit save. And then I'm going to go to extra info and enter it here and hit save. So now you'll see her entry appears in regular text. It's not all jumbled together. Do remember that this link box, this is where you put the URL for your outside source. So that wasn't so important for the personal entry. I mean, I had you do a website that you like just so you could get the hang of seeing where to add your outside source. But all you'll do is copy whatever the URL or the link is in the browser bar for your source, and you'll paste it here and click save. I'm not going to worry about that this time around. Getting an image to display correctly was a little bit more tricky for the personal entry as well, just because of what we were doing. So, for example, Michaela used Facebook, and for whatever reason, Facebook just doesn't play well with Tiki-Toki, neither does Instagram. It looks like she did everything she should have done correctly. It just doesn't display. I want to show you, though, how to add an image as we're moving forward. So when you're not trying to post an image of yourself or something you're interested in. I'm going to open a new tab here. I have it open to Google Images. So if you just type images.google.com, I'm going to just type in New Mexico. What you will do, though, is type in the name of whatever the topic is that you've chosen for your timeline entry for the given unit. Once I find an image I like, I'm going to click on it, and it will open. You don't necessarily have to open it in the website that it came from, but you can just put your cursor right here on the image and right-click, or do a control click control click, command click if you're using a Mac. I'm using a MacBook that is running Google Chrome, so I didn't mean to click that. So what you will see is this list of options. You want to choose copy image address. It might be a slightly different, the wording might be slightly different if you're using a different browser or if you're using a PC or a Chromebook, but choose the one that means copy the address for the image. Now we can hear my dog Mowgli barking at the UPS guy. So I've copied the image address. I know it's there on the on the clipboard. I'm going to go back to the timeline. Mo, come on, buddy. Sorry. And I'm here where I add the image source. I'm going to just click there and paste it. It is an image. If it was a video, I would just switch that to video. If it's an image, I can see the little thumbnail there has popped up. I'm going to click save. Move my head just a little bit here, shrink me. So now you'll notice there's one image that is displaying correctly here. You can add multiple images. You don't have to. You need just one image or one video. So that's how you get your image to display correctly here. One thing I wanted to point out, notice I had to right-click directly on the image. If I were to copy the address up here, it wouldn't work. This is the address for the Google search. It wouldn't work. So you always have to put your cursor directly on the image and right-click it to get that option that I showed you. I did want to show you Unsplash. If you don't know about it, Unsplash contains images that are open and free to reuse. So you have to be careful with Google Images because these aren't, some of them are copyrighted. The images at Unsplash are all there for folks to use on whatever they might want to use. For our purposes, I really don't think it matters too much. We're not going to be infringing on copyright because the timeline isn't permanent. I have to erase it at the beginning of every new semester because of the way the free Tiki-Toki timeline works. And so these aren't going to be here forever. They're not monetized. It's just for us as a class to use. So again, that's up to you. I did want to show you Unsplash, though, in case that's something you think about. And it is something you should think about. All right, I'm going to go back here to the beginning. One thing I want to point out here, I'm not sure who has posted this placeholder for Padre Martinez. Do pay attention to what unit we're working on. So Padre Martinez actually comes during Unit 3. He did not live 6,833 BC. I know sometimes Tiki-Toki can be finicky with changing the date or adding that, but do make sure that you get it in the correct ballpark at least, so that when others look here, they won't miss it, right? Because if the timeline were a lot fuller at this point, it would be easy to miss Padre Martinez because people would be looking for him around the 1840s. So I'm just going to switch this to 1840. Which I've done there. I'm going to get rid of that. Yeah, it actually corrected it itself. I'm going to hit save. I'll fix that real quick. 1840. This is just for the sake of argument, but do remember when you click a date or pick a date, you have to actually click one of the days on the calendar and click confirm to get it to work. So now this is here. It will be, once I hit save, placed on in the right place on the timeline. The other thing I wanted to point out, though, you don't necessarily need to change anything this time around, because I can see Kevin's already worked on the Chimayo Rebellion. Somebody's working on Padre Martinez. Those are excellent New Mexico history topics. They don't fit with Unit 2, though. So make sure you choose a topic that fits into the general chronology of the unit that we're working on. We'll get to both the Chimayo Rebellion of 1837 and Padre Martinez during Unit 3, at the end of Unit 3, as we look at the Mexican period in New Mexico history. So again, just pay attention to that. Also pay attention to historical significance. So what I'm asking you to do when I say that you need to not just tell us the who, what, why, where, when of your entry, of your topic, but you need to explain the historical significance. That's where you give us your interpretation of why this topic you've chosen is important. So you're not just kind of putting back into your own words what you've read in the textbook and what you've found on your outside source, but you're also saying, this is why I chose this. This is why this is important for us to understand if we're going to be studying New Mexico history. So you're actually making an argument. You're making a case for your topic and why we should know something about it. It's where you're being a historian and adding your interpretation. I hope that makes sense. I hope that's helpful. Please let me know how I can help, and I hope that you're having a good Tuesday.